India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar emphasized the ongoing very active and intense trade discussions between India and the US during a conversation at the Asia Society in Delhi. He highlighted the progress made in bilateral trade talks, noting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump have agreed to finalize a landmark bilateral trade agreement by fall this year. Key areas of discussion include defense, energy, and technology cooperation, with India seeking a more stable energy supply and enhanced access to American technology. Take a look.
Minister, you were there at the inauguration of President Trump to lay the foundation for what turned out to be a very successful visit by the Prime Minister to Washington, and came out with a statement. Just looking at the outcome, it's so substantive. It just touches so many aspects of this growing bilateral relationship between the United States and India, including now cooperation in the defense sector. And agreement to work towards a trade, not a free trade agreement, but a trade agreement nonetheless. I understand that the US delegation is here to kickstart that negotiation. So I remember that moment many years ago when the RCEP was being finalized, and the summit meetings that gathered to finalize this and signed on to it. And Prime Minister Modi was the one who could not sign on to it.
Correct.
And that was a disappointment for the group. But I think from the Prime Minister's point of view, you understood the difficulties of signing on to that at that particular moment. But since then, there has been many bilateral trade agreements worked out, and now you're working towards one with the United States. How do you see this unfolding, and does this mean a fundamental shift in India's trade policy toward openness rather than the traditional, protect my industry kind of a position?
Let me, for the sake of clarity, separate the questions into two parts. One was going to Washington and what did we agree on, and the other part, the trade set of issues. When we went to Washington in February, when Prime Minister went, and the discussions that he had with President Trump, I think overall our assessment was that we saw many changes which were, which suited us, or which in some ways formed a convergence on which we could build upon. Let me give you a few examples. Let's take defense. We saw a president who was much more open and much more active in terms of building a security defense partnership, and much more forthcoming about American technology possibilities. Our own experience in the first term, in his first term, was that he personally took an interest in ensuring that some of the platforms which we had an interest in, which we wanted, which were sort of meandering their way somewhere through American bureaucracy, that he stepped in and made sure that this happened. This time around, we certainly heard a recognition that there has to be a better way of engaging partners. If there are countries who respect and recognize the value of American technology and want to acquire it, and there should be easier pathways than the current one. So we certainly expect a more substantial level, higher quality defense relationship as a result. A second area of interest for us was energy. For a country like India, whose imports are overwhelming, how to to make sure that there's a stable, reasonable, predictable energy environment is something which is crucial for our long-term growth and development. Now, we saw a president who clearly had an interest in ensuring that energy availability was more, energy flows were more diverse, that countries like India could have more choice than we currently do. We, had some decades ago started, about a decade ago, started importing LNG from the US. For various reasons, the business stayed at a certain level. We have interest in increasing it because, the US is a very, very stable supplier.
Yes.
We found from the energy perspective a very positive administration. I would also say we had a good discussion on the tech world. I think there was a recognition that because, big tech is today, the success of big tech is essential to make America great again. There is a connection between the two. I think big tech recognizes the importance of mobility and talent flows and the importance of partnerships, because obviously everything in the tech world can't happen in America. So how do you create reliable supply chains? How do you have trusted vendors, trusted partners, transparent partners? I think these were issues on which again we saw a great deal of understanding and positivity. On trade, we had a very open discussion. And the result of that discussion was that the Prime Minister and the President agreed that we would conclude you rightly said, not a free trade agreement, but a bilateral trade agreement by fall this year. That is what is currently under discussion. We have a team here, by the way, they're not it's not that they are kicking off the discussion. My colleague, the Trade Minister, the Commerce Minister was in the US last month. And since then, actually, we've been working the trade account through virtual means. So there's a very active and intense trade discussion going on at this point of time. So this brings me to the trade part of what you asked. Look, we did not sign RCEP for this reason. Through the RCEP discussions, we continuously sought protections and safeguards because we had apprehensions about a surge of imports, essentially spurred by non-market and subsidy support. We didn't get it. The RCEP partners did not take our concerns seriously. And at the end of the day, finally, forgive my saying it, presented us with a take it or leave it situation. And we left it. And I think today, if you ask people, at that time when we did it, perhaps opinions were a bit more divided. Today, I think there's a much stronger consensus that not joining RCEP for a country like India was a wise decision because, see, the nature of RCEP is a supply chain architectured system where rules of origin have very limited meaning. I mean, they can't be verified in the way in which it used to be before. So the way the flows would come at us, already we are today struggling with some very serious adverse trade balances. There are deep concerns in this country about the hollowing out of our industrial capacity. We believe that we are getting, again, a lot of unfair competition out of economies east of India. For sake of diplomacy, I will not take names. I think all these were factors into our thinking.
And getting back to the, this energy and defense industry, security cooperation with the United States, traditionally for defense industry cooperation, your main partner was Russia. And that was a point of tension, as I recall, with the United States. But the relationship between the United States and Russia has taken a dramatic turn. So has that tension now been eased?
Well, I am not sure I would quite call it a tension. India was importing defense equipment from the United States till 1965. It was the United States which cut off India in 1965. It was the United States thereafter which did not resume sale of defense equipment to India from 1965 till 2006, barring one exception. So, it wasn't, if India turned to Soviet Union and thereafter to Russia, to a large extent, it was a situation also created by the United States, which actually consciously had a policy of not supplying military equipment to India. So, if they didn't want to sell it to us, that cannot then become a complaint against us. So, they changed their policy in 2006, 2005, 2006, and then it resumed. So, and now it was not that we bought only from Russia. In that same period, if you look, we bought planes from UK, we bought from France, we bought equipment from Germany, we bought from Israel. We had, the Indian military or the Indian defense system would like at any given time to have multiple options and pick what it considers to be in its interest. The US took itself out of this option game. It brought itself back into the option game. If you are now an option, it's a multipolar world, you've got to compete.